This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Right back at it for this Tuesday, May 24th. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Derek Brandeo, Jennifer Rolnick, and the one, the only, Sammy McKee. Well, clearly the Tampa Bay Lightning were just toying with the Toronto Maple Leafs. It was like a warm-up act because they are in full gear right now.
They are. There is some different directions you can take the results in these series. And Sammy's shocked me the most this morning, which was that the Lightning played so bad against Toronto. That shocked me.
It's just every day.
It won't go away.
It just won't stop.
It won't go away.
There is no hockey game that I watch in the Final Four, or whatever we're at now, Final Six, that isn't a kick in the nether region. Every game.
It's the old every song reminds me of you.
But no, but it's,
for an F.
it is.
It's like a kick in the nuts with a speed skate. It's not even like a normal boot.
What? I've never heard that
Listen.
before. But I'm glad to have heard it now.
I put together a comprehensive list of Leaf fan L's over the weekend when I was watching hockey. There are a lot.
Are we doing that today? Because I forgot how good that list was.
Do you want to?
We've got 2 hours.
We do.
And we know where it's headed next.
I also
and
disagreed with a number of them.
That includes a 4-point night by an ex-Toronto Maple Leaf with the last name Kadri.
Oh.
There's another one, but
It really, it's been a tough go here for Leafs fans.
Everything's great.
we knew Tampa, after beating the Toronto Maple Leafs, were a team to be reckoned with, but nobody saw the broom coming out against the President's Trophy.
Did you learn more about Tampa or Florida with the sweep?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I say Tampa.
No, I say Florida. I do.
I think I agree
What
with
did you
Kyper.
learn about Tampa? They've won 2 Stanley Cups. They've got a goaltender who reminds you of a brick wall. You didn't learn that.
I learned that maybe learning things like, holy crap, they're actually going to three-peat. I learned that.
Yeah.
Because after they played the Leafs and, Point got hurt and all those guys are going out in that game, Corey Perry gets hit in the face and warm up. They look like they're depleted, and they just sweep them away. You want to hear an unbelievable Vasilevsky stat?
Yes.
He stopped all 49 shots yesterday for his 6th career shutout in series-clinching playoff games. That's the most in the history of the league.
The only team to score on him in 6 of his last 7, the only team to score, the Maple Leafs. They're the only team to crack him in a Game 7.
Does that make you feel better?
Yeah, well, absolutely. That's a Stanley Cup. Another one. That's another cup for the Leafs.
Can you just size him up for his Hall of Fame blazer right
Yes.
now?
How good is
Absolutely.
Just
First ballot.
get it over with.
It's a...
And, go back and Google up until Game 5 how Jack Campbell was out goaltending Vasilevsky in the series.
Well, the Leafs were pouring 4 in a night.
They
Right?
scored every night. They scored 3 or 4 goals on him, yeah.
And what was his save percentage by the end of the series?
I actually don't know.
Did it get over? It was going into maybe
it ended
Game
up good.
7. It was
7 or something.
but it was below 900.
It was 880.
It was
For most
For a
880
lot of the series,
Yeah,
until it
880.
wasn't.
Until it wasn't.
Right.
And last time I checked, I think his save percentage in the playoffs this year went right back up to 932.
Probably.
Let's do
I can't
all
look
the
at it.
Florida stats. Should we do the Florida stats? Do you want to read some of that stuff, Sammy? Or
Yeah.
should I? Okay.
I think this is pretty interesting now because the most goals scored in the regular season in the last 25 years. And obviously the 21-22 Panthers were had the most, and they lost in the second round. The 2018-2019 Lightning, they had 319. They lost in the first round. The 2009, the 2010 Capitals, they had 313. They lost in the first round. The 05-06 Sens had 312. They lost in the second round. And the 21-22 Maple Leafs had 312. And they as well lost in the first round. What the hell does that mean?
You know what it means?
Offense isn't everything.
Do not overplay your skill card. That's what it says.
Yeah, don't try to win. It hasn't been done yet where a team just run and guns their way.
It's the tale of two stories here. Regular season team and playoff team. And the gap between both of them better not be overwhelming. And Toronto, in many ways, like the Florida Panthers, really looked the same.
Toronto had a much tighter similarity, regular season and playoffs.
Florida was worse.
Oh, yeah.
Outscore
Huge
your
gap.
mistakes.
They were super shaky.
Average goaltending. And a power play that disappeared.
Yeah, Florida scored over 4 goals per game in the regular season and got 3 in this series.
Kind of similar here. Florida, Toronto, a little bit.
I feel like there's a similarity between this Florida and older Toronto. I don't see the similarity with this year's Maple Leafs team. I mean, I see it. I get the idea.
The Leafs actually, they shrunk it. And to your point, I agree with you that Florida this year was the Leafs 2 years ago where were your stars? They disappeared.
Where were your
so
stars?
that was 2 years ago when Marner got attacked and Matthews, to a lesser degree, didn't take the bulk that Marner did. But that's where the finger was being pointed 2 years ago. And now that's what's happening to Florida. Barkov, where were you? Huberdeau, where were you?
Didn't even know those guys are on the ice sometimes. Like watching whole games being like, is Huberdeau out there? So, for me, I learned a lot about Florida as well. But, boy, just that Tampa Bay team to dispatch of the Florida Panthers in 4 games like it was nothing. I mean, I'm sure they'd tell you it wasn't nothing, but it sure feels like it now. Now they get to rest up. A hurt team gets to rest up awaiting Carolina and the Rangers, while the Rangers and Carolina are promising to kill one another.
Yeah, they're just – and for a team that's been playing this much hockey, having this time off is
huge.
Massive. They can go out on the beach without their tarps on and play catch some more. Like, these guys. So
maybe they go to the strip club? No, you don't do that in Florida, do you? Or maybe the Panthers did, according to a radio station.
WDEA in Florida.
And what they said that they accused many of the Florida Panthers being into a strip joint on back-to-back games.
Like it.
Till 3 a.m. or something?
Yeah, after the game. Must have been like, first off, do you believe it?
Second of all, it doesn't matter.
Well, no, it does matter.
No,
if it's true.
It certainly matters.
I don't think it matters. If you're down 3-0 and you go, it's like,
oh my God,
you're trying
are
to play,
you kidding me
gotta play
right
guilty.
now?
Gotta play guilty.
Well,
you gotta go in there. You get the guys together, go have some fun.
Sammy, that that's good talk for your beer league guys. It is. It works. It works, and you guys are great with that, but not at the NHL level.
Imagine you found out some guys were out at the strip club till 3 a.m. after a playoff game.
Listen,
it's probably
there's some truth to what Sammy's saying, and I've played with guys who sometimes feel like you can play guilty,
or in the regular season.
It's like one of those where you just don't know until you see the outcome, but you better win. It better be a rallying point. It could only get uglier if you get swept.
I don't even believe it.
There would be, I would believe that there'd be enough out there where someone in the organization is going to do their due diligence a little bit and their homework and just find out exactly what was going on.
I bet it was some scratches. Some guys who don't play, some black aces or whatever, were part of the organization but weren't playing. That's my bet. And I know nothing. I'm just on radio. We got 2 hours.
Do we if we got a Kyper's Clipper, do we have Andrew Burnett after the game? Because I thought this was really telling for the Florida Panthers. Let's have a listen. Head coach.
I'll take some time to reflect on it. I learned a lot. And I think I'll take it with me and grow as a coach. Again, I'm really disappointed in my effort with the power play. I don't know if I trusted too much, that we were going to turn around. And so I'm that one I'll kick myself all summer. It's already caused me sleepless nights. It might cause me a sleepless summer.
Sleepless in Florida.
Did they never get a single power play goal? They ended on 0?
I think they got one.
They did get
I
one.
think they get one.
That reminds me of the Leafs where he says, did we trust too much that it would just come?
Couple thoughts on, first of all, you got to go back to that. This has to go back to Joel Quenneville. And you've got one of the highest paid, one of the most experienced guys, one of the top coaches in NHL history. He's there. You've got a team that's built to be a top team in the regular season and go to a conference final, a Stanley Cup final. They built it. Zito, much like Kyle the last few years, goes heavy into the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
The decision to go from one of the most experienced guys in history to Andrew Burnett, a rookie, an inexperienced guy, a guy that says after he gets swept in the second round, I'm going to learn a lot from it. I'm like, I mean, where was that decision to stick with an inexperienced guy
Probably
with that
a financial
lineup?
one. Probably a financial one. Am I wrong? You know, you don't want to go pay another guy. You've already got a guy on the bench. You're paying Quenneville 6 or I don't know what he made, 5, 4.
I don't think it was that.
No. Well, then I don't know about the decision either. Because
Okay.
you don't want a guy learning with that roster. You know why else, Kipper? They don't. We talk about the Leafs and their draft picks and how all in they've been. They don't have a first next year or a second.
Like I
How
said,
about this? They don't have a first 2 years from now.
Hey.
They don't have a first 3 years from now.
Like I said, it kind of mirrors the Toronto Maple Leafs a little bit. A team that could score, at times questionable defense, at times questionable goaltending in terms of never been there before, never done it before. And now you're right, the depleted pool of assets.
Of their first and second rounders, of the 6 upcoming, they have 1. So they were in full now or never mode.
Somebody explain to me Joe Thornton in the lineup. And listen, we share messages. You knew exactly my first thought when I heard Jumbo Joe in the lineup. And I get it. You know, you got to pump up the game a little bit. So there'll be some people saying, well, this is, tons of experience and, a great rallying point. The guy can't play. Okay, it was over, and it's been over for the last little while. Where do you think that Joe Thornton's going to come in and save the day with what? A speech?
I don't know.
Are you looking for an Instagram picture?
Unfortunately for Joe's quest for a Stanley Cup, I just don't think he moves well enough anymore.
But where is the decision to put him in?
Well, you've lost 3 times. It's just what else can we do? What can we do differently?
You're going to
do something different.
You can't score, and you're going to take out Anthony Duclair, who
scored 30 times in the regular season.
30-goal scorer for Joe Thornton. That's how desperate you are. Okay.
Duclair's an interesting guy, eh?
And he played 6-18 in the game. -1.
That's tough luck.
Yeah, and listen, Joe, he's had a remarkable career. He should be better remembered than watching him struggle for 6 minutes and -1 in his own zone. And come on.
Yeah.
It's not fair to even Joe and his legacy to put him out there.
So I don't know that we are directly facing the question head on enough of, does that series affect how you feel about the Maple Leafs? Do you feel like the Maple Leafs actually were closer to getting by or closer to a Stanley Cup this year? If they score a goal in Game 6 OT, one goes in off a butt, is this suddenly a team that we're like, they did have it, they found it, all these things? Or does nothing change?
I think there's an argument to say that they are the second best team in the Eastern Conference.
Okay.
There is, but I know that what I've seen out of the consistency in the second round out of Tampa, they didn't bring that against the Leafs. and they still found a way to beat them.
Don't you feel like that's a credit to the Leafs, that the Leafs can make a team look like that? I will say that's one theme of our show this year, Kipper, is how many times this year do you go, their opponent looks crappy? At some point, the team gets credit.
Maybe until I hear Vasilevsky at the end of the Leaf season saying, like, we weren't engaged enough. We weren't into it enough. We weren't all in early. We kind of, our minds wandered a little bit. And I'm just saying, basically.
Did he say that?
I think he said that we weren't focused early enough in this series, and maybe he was talking about himself. But come on,
that to me is the question: is like, does it affect how you view what the team is? Because if suddenly you go, God, we had a good enough team. If we had got either a more favorable draw or scored one more goal or whatever, and maybe you don't blow the whole thing up like some people want. Is it a coincidence that Maroon, with his 7 or 8 minutes a night, who you've said on many occasions shouldn't be a factor in this series, finds a way to score a big goal? I don't think so.
Right? Corey Perry again. Corey Perry finds himself on the first power play and playing a big part of Tampa's success and Nick Paul's big contribution so far. Like, where's Florida's back half to bail out Barkov and Huberdeau?
Hey, Mackenzie Weegar was rough. I know he's a good player, but that was a rough series out of that guy. It's amazing to me how patient Tampa plays. Like, they never took it to them. Florida took it to Tampa last night. And at the end of the day, Tampa scores 4 times, 2 get disallowed. Florida never puts one in the net.
I don't know what's going on with Carolina and New York and all the rest of them, but the Leafs certainly have given us the impression that if they somehow would have found a way, that they could have found themselves in a conference final or a Stanley Cup final.
Sammy,
You've now crossed off number 1 and 2 on the Leaf fan L list.
And that's not going to go away anytime soon.
Corey Perry, number 2.
Well, do you want to just read some of them?
Wow.
Do you want that Kipper now, or should we go through our?
I don't know. I mean, how much time do you really want to
Giordano.
beat up on that?
All right, we can go.
Right?
Just bring them up intermittently. Your 10 Leafs fan L's.
No problem.
Yeah. All right. So, let's just kind of segue into the Mark Giordano signing, which, how can anybody not say that this wasn't a smart signing, a good signing? $800,000. I think Elliot Friedman said that the original offer by the Leafs was $1 million, and Gio went back to them and said, "No, give me $8 million, and we'll save $200,000 to go spend somewhere else."
Yeah, I mean that's
straight out of the Jason Spezza playbook.
If I could take less, I would, literally. So let's just get to your take on this, which makes me crazy.
It's the take that I've had. It's the take that many of them have. That first and foremost,
yes,
he is in a position where money doesn't matter. So the first checkbox is, how is this for my family? And that was the number one reason why he's not contemplating going anywhere else for maybe $1.5 million or $2 million on a 1-year deal. We think he could have gotten double.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So
he played 20 minutes a game for the Leafs very handily.
This is always the case when you've got hockey players at the end of their careers that are just looking for a big picture. And then somewhere in there is, it'd be great if we won too.
See, you have projected that onto them. I don't think that anyone has said that his priorities are comfortable housing and being near his family and wearing the blue and white. Like, if you're looking at places in the NHL to give you a chance to win a Stanley Cup, I would say there's 6 to 8 teams that have a chance. And you don't really know how it's going to go. You just got to get on one of those 6 to 8 teams.
Roll the dice.
This is one of them.
Roll the dice. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I do think that they're going to contend next year, and they're going to be in a position where if we're going to look at 32 teams and we wanted to say 6 or 8, it may have a chance to win a Stanley Cup. You will put Toronto in there.
You would. And so if you're Giordano, you take less money, you give the team more money to spend, you give yourself a better chance to win a cup.
And you get to be very comfortable in your city.
Yes.
With your family.
And to your point, if it doesn't work out, you still got to be in Toronto and it was a comfortable year and all that.
I've lived it. I know.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants after. He'll be in a position of Jason Spezza status where
He'll probably make that money back too that he gave back in Toronto, connections, whatever he does after, right?
Oh God, that's just so he's $60 million his career.
Yeah.
I don't think he has to worry about, I know a guy. I know an electrician. You got an electrician? Yeah, I know a guy. Yeah. Oh, you just pay him under
You
the
can get
table.
a free shawarma at Osmos.
Give him $100 and you'll be fine. Okay, thanks.
I will say, after years of making, how much has he been making? 6 something? After years of that, the first direct deposit hit on that $800K contract was probably going to be a bit of a shocker.
Yeah. And to be clear, I know plenty of people in the NHL who've made a lot of money who still care about money. I don't know that everyone gets to be like, well, I'm doing pretty good. Some people want to do a lot good.
I'm happy he's back. I
am, except for the complication of the puzzle, which we need to talk about.
The only thing that bothers me is other people taking laps like it's some amazing signing, which I've seen a lot of. Like it's a depth signing.
When he got traded here, people were ripping on me because I said that he's a 5th or 6th defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we had Kyle on his show, and I said, do you think he can play top 4 minutes? And he said he's been doing it his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
But do we see this signing as a guy that can play top 4 next year for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I will say that
I would hope not.
Year of aging is different from 27 to 28 than 38 to 39. Like, it's a big year. I expect a drop off.
Really?
I do. I think he's going to be not as good as he was this past season a year from now.
I'll say that in a perfect world, he probably should only play between 55 and 65 games.
In playoffs, he might be your 7. I mean, if you're looking at $800K,
It's a depth
right?
signing at that number.
At $800K, you go on the UFA market and try to find a guy who can do what Giordano can do. You ain't going to find it. It's not out there.
I would hope that this contract is played out like Simmons, where if you have to bury it, you bury it. He doesn't even see next year.
Yeah.
If it's over, it's over.
I think that's part of the way these contracts work.
This is really a 1-year deal with maybe an $800,000 thank you buyout. Thanks for your time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I look at the way the contract is. What I can't get past is just looking at the decor and the pairs and what now. So you're going to have Muzzin you'll have Riley and I don't know if we don't want to do the whole pairs, but look at the left side.
Listen, okay, let's start with Gio.
Yeah.
I see him at 5 and 6 with Liljegren. That's your third pair.
But here's the problem. Rasmus Sandin exists. So you've got Muzzin and Riley and Gio and Sandin and Brody. So Brody can play the right side. But you've got Muzzin, Riley, Gio, and Sandin. You're going to keep Sandin in the press box? No. Not a chance.
So where is Kyle Dubas and Brendan Shanahan on Jake Muzzin? I thought he came back and actually looked
he
pretty
was
good.
very helpful in playoffs.
I think there's an
Very
argument that he was maybe their best defensive
good.
guy.
Playoffs. Yeah, I agree with
But
that, actually.
you cannot deny that what you saw this year out of Jake Muzzin was some serious wear and tear.
I mean, he got 2 brutal concussions. Yeah. I mean,
Okay, but so
no, that's
Ka-
part of
Kasha-
the cost. Yeah.
Kasha came in, and as much as he gave you this year, there was always that element that this guy has been hurting in the past and it can catch up to you again. And it did. So where are you on the trust level now moving forward that Jake Muzzin had just had a bad year and he can recover and just be the Jake Muzzin that you still thought that's left on the contract?
Well, I don't have full trust. I don't.
So do you try to get out of it now?
Here's the thing. And so,
Is there a chance to sell high after the playoffs?
no, I don't think so.
I I don't
fair
disagree.
question.
Yeah, it is a fair question. I think there is a chance.
But I think his contract has a weight to it, right? 5.6 with the uncertainty.
No. Go back. Can you look up his contract?
It's 5.6, 2
I
million,
know it
2
is.
years left.
Yeah, but there's a
no-
signing bonus involved too.
Oh, is it light?
So I think that there's a chance that you can get him moved out to somewhere that's attractive
Without,
without the team paying 5.6.
yeah.
Like,
Yes,
once
you're right. You're right. The base salary the next 2 years is $2 million. Total salary, $4 million.
So over.
Sorry, it's $2 million signing,
So what's
$2
the real
million
cash?
base.
What's the real cash? 6 million?
4 per season. 4 per season
No,
after
but
this.
outside the signing bonus.
Remaining?
So the Leafs will pay the signing
but
bonus.
they're signing bonus. Okay, and then trade them.
and then trade
So
him.
it'd be 6.
Yeah.
6 cash.
So
yeah.
3 and 3 basically.
Yeah.
So for a team to pay out $6 million for 2 more years is
Of real money,
it's
yeah.
of real money, and what the cap hit won't matter to them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's movable if they want to move off of Jake Muzzin.
So here's my issue is if you move off of Jake Muzzin, you're moving away. You want the team to be more like Jake Muzzin, not less like Jake Muzzin. So you're making room for Rasmus Sandin. Now your left side is Riley, Gio, and Sandin. No thanks. Like
Yeah.
no disrespect to any of those individuals, but you'd like to have someone
you
that
got to replace Jake
I've watched
Muzzin.
playoffs enough to know
With
that
the
that
Jake
can't be your
Muzzin.
left side, particularly if your right side is Brody, Hall, like other guys who aren't physical. So to me, it's just a puzzle piece fit. What does having right now, the way it slots in Giordano is your 4th left D-man. Sandin's going to play ahead of him next year. They're not going to sit Sandin in the press box. So right now, Giordano's in the press box for $800K, which is fine if he's okay with it.
I think when you basically roll over in negotiations and just take whatever you can get, then you're at their mercy to say, hey, listen, what can I do to help? If it means starting in the press box, I don't think Mark should have an issue with that. When you've
It's just tough. Like you
Gave
saw how
him
good he was for the
$800,000.
Leafs for 20-some games. I'm sure that it would be hard to just be like, yeah, I'll just watch. You guys carry on.
I know, but
No, you're right. By making the choice to
you can't. You've got Sandin who has to be an impact, and if you start him the first 5 or 7 games in the press box, all you're doing is just killing an asset again.
with Sandin.
Yes.
Yeah, they won't do it. He's going to play in
And
game
who's
1.
not playing to start on your left side?
Mark Giordano. You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah, unless Muzzin's moved.
Or the world in which Sandin is part of a package as well.
Yeah, it's a good point. But I think they would be loath to do that. I think they really like him, and he's cheap.
They
and
drafted
he's
him.
young,
No,
and
for sure. But if you got to give something to get something, and he
Yep.
would probably look at as one of their
I
sort
wonder.
of finer chips.
I wonder if they wouldn't trade Muzzin for essentially nothing. Kipper, call it a 4th round pick or whatever, 5th round pick, and use that asset, which is the cap space. Now you have $5.6 million in cap space, and then go get someone who can play on the right side. Someone who plays a more physical style, someone more.
But you've also correct me if I'm wrong. Have you moved Hall's $2 million out by now?
No, I think you're keeping Hall.
Not in his last year at $2 million.
Yeah, and you're probably not going to re-sign him. So
Yeah.
So then they definitely need to move someone to the right side. So then move Hall, pay Labushkin to keep him, get rid of Muzzin, use
I
that
don't
money for another right side guy. They're
Labushkin's-
so left side heavy.
Labushkin's stock fell. Now you're in a
Stockville, he played all 7 games.
What is he?
He's a banger.
No, but where is he in your lineup?
He is probably your 2nd pair, 3rd pair right D.
I don't know about third pair.
3rd pair right D.
Who we gave Gio and Liljegren status on?
Well, hold on. Liljegren, I don't know where he slots in behind Brody. I guess you do Brody, Liljegren, Labushkin.
What are you paying Labushkin?
I don't know. What does he want?
As much as he can get.
Oh, damn it. It's not always the case.
Someone's going to overpay him $1.5 million, $2 million.
Maybe it'll be the Leafs. I think they like him a lot. He's something they don't have.
But is he
I
gonna
like him
play
way more
beside
than everyone
Morgan
else.
Riley?
No. But I think the guy
He had trouble at the end.
in trouble at the end, but it was against the Tampa Bay Lightning in the playoffs, and like that's not Arizona, dude. Like I think a little experience here, this guy can get a lot better. I think there's potential in this guy. I like the way he moves. I like it if he can just touch
And
the puck a little bit
There
more.
is a full no move clause for Muzzin, by the way. In
I don't
2022.
think so. Oh, I think it's a no trade.
No trade clause. Oh, so
Yeah.
it was no move
So-
in 2021.
Yep.
And then this in 2022, 2023, it's a no.
I think
move,
it's a
no trade clause.
10-team no trade clause.
You think the Leafs pushed out the Giordano signing real quick because it helped maybe ease the pressure off of Kyle Dubas with
No.
some negative press off of his end of year press conference?
To you, it's a much better question.
I think
than
I thought he got great mileage out of it. I really
out of the
did.
Gio signing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
To get him at 800,000, I think is a steal, and
It does turn the page to next season quickly.
It does, and it starts off that feel of, hey, we're getting a class act here, a guy that can slide into the Jason Spezza, mold and give us that veteran presence. I think it's good press for him.
Does anyone want to trade with Kyle? Is there like the Toronto thing, the whole like reputation of like everything's under the microscope here? Although there's some bad trades that maybe we'll get to that might want to
Is
make
this-
people trade with them a little bit
Is
more.
this a good segue
It feels
into
natural.
Nazem Kadri for Colorado? And
Yeah.
and by the way, I want to personally thank Naz for dragging my ass back into this whole mess with St. Louis and goaltenders.
I love it.
We now move to number 4 on the Leaf fan L.
Right?
Nazem Kadri dominating. Continue.
Yeah. So do you want to just give people context on what happened
Well,
back in your
let's-
Sammy maybe?
Kipper, I had never seen the clip until this weekend.
of me hitting Grant Fuhr.
I had never seen it, and yeah,
Well, you're young.
it was an all-time oopsie.
You're
Let's just
young.
say that.
So we're going back to, of course, the contact Saturday night.
Yeah.
Where Nazem Kadri collided with Jordan Binnington.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, next day, Binnington's reported as, or not reported, but the Blues announced that he's out.
Yeah.
Kadri, of course, gets attacked for taking out their star goaltender,
Yes.
and then ends up with 4 points last night.
Yeah.
Which is quite remarkable under those type of circumstances. Of course, a lot of it driven through race now with the attacks on him.
Yep.
And yet he's able to put it behind him and have a performance of a lifetime
Yeah.
under tremendous pressure.
Huge showing.
And of course, I got dragged into it because of my association with Grant Fuhr back in '96. And now I'm getting all these requests to go and talk about it. I'm like, buddy, it's almost been 30 years,
Blues fans still
30
are-
years.
So Kipper is kind of at the side of the net, shot on Grant Fuhr, goes to the crease. Chris Pronger cross-checks him, and Kipper uses that permission slip to
100%.
accidentally. So on that cross-check,
Yes.
did you mean to fall?
Yes.
You did mean to fall on the goalie.
100%.
Some players do the oopsie thing. Yeah.
My position has always been like anyone else's that plays that type of role. Go bother the goalie.
Yes.
Go. He's one of the top goalies historically. He was having an unbelievable year. Did I mean to fall into him, to cause havoc? Did I want to bother him, disrupt him? Did I want Chris Pronger to react to me? Yes, 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 yes. Did I mean to take out his ACL? No.
Right. So that's
Did I
an
mean to
important-
knock him out of the series? No. Could I have predicted that anyways with, falling on a goalie, which happens time and time again? How many guys have crashed hard into a goalie in these playoffs?
Oh, I know.
Every game.
Yeah,
Every
yeah,
game.
Someone's
Every
getting
game.
plowed constantly.
Every game.
Yeah.
But I was no different than Kadri. I just didn't have social media to go read a timeline about how many people wanted to kill me
Right.
and the death threats.
Yeah.
And I know in this instance with Kadri, a lot of it seems to be racially motivated, but this isn't uncommon in this time of year. Like, I had death threats. If you want to talk to people in the league office, they have had death threats. These people are nuts out there in terms of the emotion that they bring. And now they've got something that they didn't have when I played, and that's a platform to go and say it publicly.
And I mean,
not just your buddies and, sitting at a bar, but now you have a chance to spread it. And that's the biggest difference between me and Kadri. Here we are, 27 years later.
So I think it's first off on you running into fear and all that. We've talked about all year, the oopsies thing. Part of, even for myself, is not I was supposed to be an offensive player on my teams, but you get in the crease, you fall on the goalie if you can, you disrupt them. You make the goalie think that people are on top of them all the time. It makes sense. I thought the Kadri play, he's behind Rosen, and I think he uses the puck there as an excuse to do it on purpose. The backlash is disgusting. Obviously, I'm so impressed at his ability to just not shrink from it, but actually make himself bigger, right? To stand up and basically be like, he did make some great comments about how he feels for the people who aren't as mentally strong as him that are in that same situation. But he's been through it, and a great moment for, I think, even the HDA to use this as an example of how much worse it becomes for someone in his situation.
He did mention Craig Berube in his post-game comment, and I'm a big Craig Berube fan, but Craig did himself no favors with this reaction. Do we have this?
What are your thoughts towards the threats to Kadri?
I got no comment on that stuff.
Which, it's a fair comment. I just don't think it's doing you any favors when, the narrative over the last few years is a league that's been very proactive on trying to rid this theme and this narrative.
Well, and I think the greater thing here is just it's not hard to condemn racism. It's not hard to just be like, it shouldn't happen.
You could say, I understand he's locked in for the game or whatever, and he's talking about the game, but it's easy for him to be like, that's horrible, don't do that. That would have taken 1 second.
So when you say no comment, it implies you think something else,
and
which is concerning.
He hates Kadri. He obviously hates Kadri. There's no debate.
He took out
last year with Falk, he takes out the goalie, takes out his star goalie. There's a history there. He hates him.
To say about the guy, which probably clouds his ability to, I don't know.
I won a cup with Keenan just 2 years removed, and he's hating my guts on Fuhr. And it's like, do you remember?
Yeah.
Just
our whole thing.
Do you remember the parade and stuff like that?
That was only a couple of years ago,
right? And he absolutely lambasted me because you are in the here and now, and if there was, forget about St. Louis beating Colorado, if there was even a chance to prolong the series to get it to maybe a game 7. It would have been off the back of Binnington. Binnington had it going.
He did, boy.
And now you got Ville Husso. That was a horrible display of goaltending by Husso.
Yeah.
The short side goals on him were you got no chance.
If you're
of winning.
the Blues trying to beat a team loaded with firepower, you need a goalie performance. You need a guy to make more saves than the other guy, and they didn't get that out of Husso. That obviously drives it home. Why don't we listen to Kadri, his thoughts on Berube and kind of how that got him going?
Starting with their head coach, probably. He made some comments that, I wasn't a fan of, and I guess he's never heard of bulletin board material. So I don't know what that was about, but like I said, there was a lot of people saying a lot of things, and I got to tune it out, and, I'll step up when I have to.
And should we just keep in the theme and do Kadri with needing some fuel, or?
Do you want to react to that?
Well, listen, Kadri's free and clear to say anything he wants and whatever he believes in and all of that, but I would have saved that one for after we knocked him out of the round, because in many ways he's calling out the Blues, he's calling out Berube, and now did Kadri provide bulletin board material for the guys to say, hey, this ain't over and we're coming back.
You know, I like the idea that he is making himself bigger. Again, he's expanding. He's saying, I'm the target. Okay, here I am. Look what it did to the Blues last game, him being the target. They chased him around. They thought about him. They forgot about hockey. You know, I mentioned earlier in the series that I was really impressed with the Blues' composure. You know, Rantanen ran Binnington in game 1, and Binnington went up and told his own guys to chill. He's trying to get his guys to leave Rantanen alone. I thought a couple of times that they were really composed and not chasing Kadri around. Then they started to, and it's like, if you just let Colorado play, you can't worry about one guy. So I like it from Kadri's perspective.
Perron went after him last night.
Yeah, pretty
he got fined $5,000, which I thought was probably a good amount of money, I guess.
Yeah, you don't want to suspend him, I don't think, for that.
No, it's not a suspendable act.
But he went after him pretty good.
And they didn't score a power play goal on it, but being on the power play influenced his 4th goal, which ended up being the game winner. And it's just bad move.
Bad.
Just not. I don't like the odds of having a penalty like that and finding a way to rally your team around it.
People have long memories. You want to talk with Kadri, you know, next year in game 28. Great. I don't know if you need to be doing it game 4, crucial game.
One more before we go to break. And I just mentioned
we're getting the piece out. Oh, okay.
No,
sorry.
One more thought.
You're the guy.
It's horrible because Sam's going to need 5 minutes for this. But all the good press that Kyle Dubas got on Giordano signing, is it lost by Kadri reminding every Leaf fan that?
I genuinely think this is a longer conversation because there's a lot here.
Okay, we're going to save it then.
I hated the Kadri trade the day it was made.
Quiet. We're going to
Never wavered.
We're going to go to break. We got Kevin Lowe off the break, and we're going to talk about McDavid and how Gretzky-like he has been this playoffs.
I've just never seen a guy like this right now.
Oh, my God. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
And Steve Valiquette as well.
Love Steve Valiquette.
Analyst for the New York Rangers on MSG. He's going to be by as well. All after the break. You're watching and listening to Real Kyper and Bourne.
Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Where are you in the Battle of Alberta if we did not see a sweep coming for Tampa against Florida? Where are you watching the Oilers handling Calgary?
I feel like we're watching LeBron James drag Cleveland Cavaliers supporting cast to the finals and Connor McDavid. I just can't even get over what's happening. They have no answer for this guy.
It's not supposed to basketball.
Oh yeah, he gets the ball every possession.
There's only like, I don't know, 10 or 11 guys on that roster, not 20.
And LeBron would play 48 minutes.
And LeBron would play 48 minutes. And historically in our game, the best players in the world only still play a third of the game.
Yeah. And in that time, his impact is so great.
Which is nuts, which leads us into a former teammate of mine, but more importantly, a six-time Stanley Cup champion, Hall of Famer, current vice chairman of the Oilers Entertainment Group, and leading the charge in the Joey Moss pit, Kevin Lowe. Lowesy, is that your number one job now? Is making sure that tens of thousands are happy in the Moss pit?
Yeah, it's one of the many hats I wear these days. No, I'm not taking credit for that, nor am I going anywhere near it. It's a crazy place.
It is, and it must bring you great memories again of what it really is like when the city of Edmonton contends.
Yeah, and I really, it's not like Edmonton has the only blueprint of that in Canada. I mean, all the Canadian cities really rally around their teams when it comes to the playoffs. But having said that, Edmonton's perhaps a little more blue collar. I mean, we have the highest percentage of personally held tickets by season ticket holders than any team in the National Hockey League. So the fans are, so they're not corporate, they're not company, they're not, business. It's everybody's using their own personal money to buy the tickets, and as a result, we've got a loyal following, and they're certainly enjoying the ride right now.
Kevin, one of the things I'm seeing people say, and by seeing people say, I mean I have said as well, is that Connor McDavid is the best player to have ever lived. And I understand that Wayne Gretzky exists and had a better career, and McDavid would have to play forever and do so much more to ever catch up to him. But just raw speed, skill, talent, ability. You've seen both these guys up close and personal. Can you give us your thoughts on what Connor McDavid is right now in NHL greatness?
Well, he's a treat to watch, Justin, and that goes without saying. Again, a tough comparison. But I would say this. I'll talk about Connor in a second, but relative to Wayne, I mean, the big difference now is 24-hour news and sports coverage and social media.
Right.
So all the stuff that Wayne was doing on a Sunday night in Los Angeles, when the rest of, when all of Canada or the Eastern Canada and the Eastern United States were sleeping, that would have been all world stuff, never got seen. So it's hard to compare the two. But having said that, Connor reminds me of Michael Jordan, of how unbelievable he was, and the Bulls were a great team. But I mean, Jordan was just worth the price of admission, and I won't say that Wayne wasn't, because he certainly filled a lot of buildings. But it just seems that the awe factor with Connor, because of he's bigger than Wayne, and Wayne was subtly flashy, whereas Connor has this, the incredible speed, et cetera, et cetera. So it really, it's great for hockey. Obviously, it's great for Edmonton and Alberta, but really good for the NHL that they have a bona fide must-see TV type of athlete playing in the league.
It was interesting, Lowesy, to hear Matthew Tkachuk saying we're getting beat by one guy, and it's probably a theme that you had heard in your heyday with Wayne in Edmonton. And now I'm just wondering if Calgary going in tonight, like what kind of looks did Wayne have when teams had that mentality? And what kind of looks can you compare that to Connor will look at moving forward here? Because they are similar in that perception, aren't they?
Yes. So, Wayne, first off, there were teams that actually put a shadow on him. Steve Kasper comes to mind when he played for the Bruins. Certainly Esa Tikin when Wayne went to Los Angeles and the Oilers played, John Muckler assigned Tikkanen to essentially shadow Wayne throughout the game. And Tikkanen is annoying as it is, let alone following around the ice. So you can imagine the Flames assigning, who would be capable. I don't think Kachuk could do it because I don't think he's fast enough. But if they did have a player, it's really disruptive to the game, I think. And it's a different game now defending because, players are much more aware of defensive responsibilities than they were in our day. And, in other words, there's not very many odd man rushes, et cetera, because people are back. But I think, I was listening to Tim Hunter this morning talk about it. He coaches in the Western Hockey League. And, the Flames did, I think the fact that they made a lot of obvious errors as it is. Let's not discount how good Connor is, but they made mistakes that allowed for Connor to have more skating. So I suspect that that's not going to happen tonight. So it's going to be a little tougher on him. But long gone are the days when they could come out and try to bully him or hook and hold him or slow down the game as they did in the 70s, 80s, and 90s because the rules have changed and you can't do that.
So how do you assess the rest of the play of the Oilers? It feels like, we've talked primarily about Connor, and I think justifiably so, but, they're up 2 games to 1, and I think you don't get to that position without some contributions all the way around. What have you thought of the non-McDavid Oilers to date?
Well, the team, Justin, they finally figured out how to play in the playoffs. Yeah. This is a completely different team from the LA series. We might have saw glimpses of this team in games 6 and 7. But they are now, it looks like, and whether it's, and I credit Jay Woodcroft and Dave Manson for a lot of this, but they have anybody who's been successful and played in the playoffs, they know what it's like to play in the playoffs, what you have to do. You have to become almost a different player. And, look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, for instance. You got Stamkos blocking shots. I don't think he blocks a lot of shots during the regular season, but he's throwing his body all over the place. That's what you have to do. The Oilers weren't doing that previously, but I look at a kid like Yamamoto. He's a $150 or 55 pounds and stuff, and he's taking runs at Zadorov, and I'm sure the Flames will want to kill him next regular season. But he's just given it everything he has to make a difference for the Oilers, and I think Duncan Keith has settled in and is playing comfortable, and although he's 39, is really providing a lot of leadership for us. Evander Kane's been all world. What you see is what we've pretty much had ever since he walked into the Oilers dressing room door. And then, Leon, that line is wonderful. But I like the balance of the team. I like, that we have a little bit of everything, but they have to play with that passion that you've seen in the last number of games. Otherwise they become a pretty regular team.
We're talking to Oiler great Kevin Lowe. I'm not one to pat myself on the back here, Losey, but earlier in the year, I said to these guys when Kane was still a member of San Jose that somebody should look at signing this guy or getting him, and they looked at me like I had 3 heads. But here we are, and he's leading the league in scoring now, goal scoring, and just in terms of the cojones it took to sign this guy, or maybe it wasn't that big of a gamble?
Well, there was obvious reasons why teams were skeptical because there were things that were happening. Kenny Holland did a pretty exhaustive research, on the player. Let's first of all say the skill set was perfectly suited for our hockey club. And no surprise that Kane would have chosen Edmonton over a number of other teams that were interested in him. But You know, what I like most about it is I think from the time he arrived here in Edmonton, I haven't seen one team try to take liberties on Connor McDavid, and you know it's and we have Zach Cassian and Darnell Nurse, and some guys that obviously when they're on the ice that can help Connor out, but the fact that Evander Kane's playing with Connor, it's just given Connor carte blanche to be, everything he needs to be, and Kane is, just not Semenko to Gretzky. It's a complementary player that can really score goals and play with Connor. So, full credit to him. I'm sure everything that's happened to him in the past, he'd like to keep in the past and want to, for the number of years he has left, enjoy the game of hockey, because he is a very good player.
What have you thought of the Calgary Flames, the inter-province rival there? This Flames team seemed built for playoffs, but it has struggled a little bit. I thought on the back end, Zadorov and Goodbranson, great seasons, and struggled a little bit in the series. What are your thoughts on that team and the way that Daryl Sutter has handled, getting those guys at their best against Edmonton?
Well, this is in advance of Game 4, so I know we're going to see much more pushback from the Flames. I thought the Flames had an excellent year, and they handled us pretty well. They had size, they had enough skill to score. The goalie's a good goalie. It's no surprise that they won the division, and I was really concerned going into the series because. Like I mentioned earlier, the Oiler team that you saw play in games 6-7 in the LA series, and other than getting blindsided in Game 1 in Calgary, the team that you saw in Game 2 and Game 3 of this series is a completely different team. The Oilers are a completely different team when they play that way, and that's not a team that the Flames have seen. So, I imagine that they're going to be trying to grind it out, and they don't have to. It's not like they have to come out and try to rough up the Oilers, but that is part of their game, the scrums, et cetera. But the last game, the teams played it. The Oilers played at such a fast pace. The game, I don't think they were able to get into that game. I suspect you'll see that tonight, and then they'll try to keep it close enough that their offensive guys can start contributing.
So when you said Tikkanen's annoying, was that on the ice or trying to understand what the hell he was saying to us all along?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know whether he was more annoying off the ice or on the ice. But it was annoying, capital A, that's for sure.
Hey, Kevin Lowe, I can't thank you enough for joining us. Continued success. It's been fun so far, Battle of Alberta. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure, you guys. Take care.
Kevin Lowe.
Thank you.
Man, that guy played hard.
Yeah. I really enjoyed his Hall of Fame induction, all the learning more about him and what a rugged guy he was. I always thought of him as pure skill guy, but lots of determination and grit to his game.
Just want to touch on Evander Kane a little bit.
I didn't appreciate you saying that. I was dying for
you.
Oh, I was like, oh my God, the Leafs should sign Evander Kane. The Leafs should sign. I was on team sign Evander Kane.
Then it was Bourne.
I don't even remember what I said, but it sounds like me.
We have said a lot of things.
I feel like I would have said Dubas wouldn't do it, so it's not even worth the conversation.
Do not let the truth get in the way of a good story. That's the motto here at Sportsnet.
So I will say that this is the ideal situation right now for Evander Kane and signing Evander Kane.
And for the Oilers, it's ideal.
That's what I mean. It's a mutually beneficial relationship, but do not give him $1 after this year. If I'm the Oilers, they go as far as this goes. But if he's looking for that big contract, boy, I would not give it to him.
Love that take.
See, I'm like, hold your horses here, and I get it. I know where you're coming from, and I know all of the potential pitfalls that you speak of. But what he is doing right now is showing that when his head's on right, he's one of the best left wingers in the game.
Absolutely.
But Kyper, how many times is there, you hear from a team that they have a no draft list? Because they say, I don't even care what this guy ends up being. We just don't want him in our locker room.
I could probably guess that there's probably over 20, 25 teams right now that would say, I wouldn't take him for free.
Right.
But at the same time, you're watching him with McDavid and you're going,
He's got 9 goals.
oh, my, 10, I think.
10. McDavid's got room.
And people are like, oh, they're tap-ins. I'm like, are you nuts?
You got to keep up with them to tap it in.
Yeah.
How many guys have had trouble keeping up with them? Like, you got to get there.
Yeah.
You got to have the IQ to get there. You got to have the skating to keep up with him. How many guys has he been with in his career that I can't keep up with him?
Yeah. And no one says it because everyone wants that spot, but it's evident that some guys just can't play with the guy.
He's going to the right spots with his stick in the right spots, and he's finding them, and he's tucking it like he's.
So if Kyle Dubas could sign him in the offseason
for 1 year, $1 million, sure.
Kyle would never take him. You know that, right?
No.
Ever.
And I think it's fair. I think teams that don't want him, they're fair. I think there's enough of a line of
Sharks literally didn't
like
want
there's enough of a line of history with this guy where teams like he seems to wear it as welcome in certain spots. Guys don't like him, but right now
that bothers me because if there's a chance that this guy could make you better, and so far it's paid off. Like, hey, who knows what tomorrow can bring? This guy, a story could surface tomorrow on Evander Kane and shut him down. And how many people would have their surprise face on?
Not anyone in this room.
Zero.
But risk reward.
So what's the contract? What's he looking at? Like, is he going to get another big banger?
Why wouldn't he, after this is all over, look for $5, $6, or $7 million over 5 years? Who is in the right mind would give it to him? I have no idea. But why wouldn't you look for that?
I will say I am fascinated to see what his next deal will be. My guess is it's shorter term, like a 3-year deal at like
higher AAV.
At still a number like
7.
God, I don't know. The thing is, there's no one really to bid against. If you're right that maybe 20 teams don't want him or 25 teams don't want him, how many of the remaining teams have the room, the space, the interest? There just may not be enough competition to get it up to commensurate with his actual value.
Good point.
But if you're just shutting it down because of his history, are you doing the right thing for your team?
Excellent question, though. Because if you believe he's turned a corner here, and if you check in Edmonton and everybody says he's been a model citizen, he looks so good that I think you have to kind of convince yourself, if you're a general manager, that you could sign him and fix him.
Kevin Lowe just said Holland did his due diligence, right?
Yeah.
He did his investigation.
The New England Patriots kind of did this for years, where they had a good room and good culture, and they would take in someone who, with a bad history, and then say, well, in our spot, he'll be able to work, and guys could come give you a year. Guys like this typically can't give you. They do great under probationary periods like this.
It's true.
I don't want to suddenly set the guy free again. And
that's why I said it's the perfect situation right now. And and Holland looks like a genius.
Tony
for it.
D'Angelo's next deal is going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
There's another example of a guy that teams wouldn't touch. When the Rangers wrote him off, nobody would even take a call on this guy.
But the Rangers didn't think he was bad at hockey.
They just hated him.
Right.
Didn't he get punched in the locker room by somebody?
And Gorgiev.
They got into it with somebody.
We'll ask Steve Valiquette
on all that.
because I had also heard that he was fine in the room. That a lot of guys had no issues with him.
I just, before we move off Oilers, I have to regret.
Let's have it.
Go ahead. Get it off your chest.
I can't believe
Matthews versus McDavid.
I can't believe I said Matthews was better than McDavid. I truly am an idiot.
Hey, listen, a lot of us are running hand in hand with you there.
You're in a bad place right now.
He is, eh?
You're in a bad place, and
So,
you're still
working through
you're
it.
still feeling
Yeah.
the
Do
Leaf
the kids
remorse.
still say down bad?
Yeah.
Playoff remorse.
Listen, this year, Matthews is probably going to win the Hart, right?
I think so.
And guess what? Every Oilers fan.
We've had this conversation, by the way.
But Oilers fans are going to be like, oh, yeah, nice Hart, nice turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's the
Go have
golf
a
course?
parade.
How's the golf course?
Go have a parade with your Hart trophy.
And while McDavid is kicking the absolute you-know-what out of the league at the most important time. It's another one on the Leafs fan L.
But the Hart Trophy is not for the postseason.
Yes.
You're just saying who had the most impactful regular season.
I know.
That's it.
But it's still tough to take, and I can't believe I said that. McDavid's you couched it a little bit when you asked Kevin Lowe, but no, he is the greatest player I've ever seen.
Yes, he is. Ken Dryden actually has an article out today that says as much.
What he can do individually, I don't think we've ever seen before.
Well, and that's the point. It's not like Gretzky, McDavid's better than Gretzky in his prime. None of that. Just the game has evolved and players have improved and whatever, and equipment has improved, and no human has ever looked like that playing hockey before.
And again, it's not basketball where you're out there on every minute of every play influencing it.
Right.
The guy has to go off the ice. He's still spending close to 2/3 of the game not influencing it.
And he's so influential, the other team has to go, how do we adjust who we put on the ice to make sure that we have the right guys to go on when he's out there? Like, he's still impacting the game from the bench.
That's exactly it. The threat of McDavid, it just lords over the entire game.
It doesn't give you time to game plan for the other team's penalty kill because you're game planning for him. He takes coaching time away from other areas.
And right now, Calgary's being outstarred.
They just have no chance against him when he's on the ice. They have no chance when he's on the ice.
Zadorov and Goodbranson need to get off the rink. They need to play 5-on-3 until they can get another pair out there against
You guys want to throw in Lucic on
8 days?
Essentially.
I do.
Lucic on Mike Smith?
I do want to throw this in.
All right.
Delightful.
Kipper's
Really.
Clipper.
I think the main thing is it's I don't think I really want to get into what I was thinking or what I was trying to do or if he sold it or if he didn't a little bit. But I think I agree with Daryl in the sense if I actually did charge, we both wouldn't be playing tomorrow.
100% factual.
Truth bomb.
Very truthful.
Yeah.
We also have Sutter on it, too, if you want it.
Yes, of course we do. It's your Daryl.
They called it charging, correct? Could you imagine if Luch did charge? What would have happened there? He actually tried to slow it down a little bit, I think. Well, it is what it is. You know what? It's the score and who it was. That's what they call.
So that's what I love the best about playoff hockey, that we can evolve, we can change, we can do this, we can say that, but that part of the game never leaves.
No. Great. Love that.
Goalies being dramatic never leaves either.
Mike Smith made some comments about and then I get buried through the end wall. So you can see Lucic trying to kind of hold up. It was a bit of a schmozzle.
So I've watched it 100 times because I just love it's just a car crash. Everybody flies in. It's great. But he tries to go around the net the other way. Like he looks like he's about to go around and he stops completely and turns around. Lucic kind of puts his hand on his hip going as slow as he possibly could in that situation. And he ejects himself into the boards. He's so dramatic. All goalies are just so dramatic.
And you still know at any point, Mike Smith could cough up a pizza slice better than anybody out there.
Oh,
number one pizza man.
He's the biggest wild card in the league. Like he might give you a 600 save percentage. He might be the best goalie on earth. You just have no idea what's coming.
Nobody saw him outplaying Markstrom so far in this series.
No, Markstrom. Boy, question marks here. I loved, I don't think we have this one from Daryl Sutter, but they asked him what he told Markstrom when he was pulling. Okay, well, let's listen.
Yeah. Just go back to Markstrom. I know you've said this season you don't like the poor goalie, so when that does happen, do you say anything to him at that point?
Pardon?
Do you say anything to Markstrom, lifting him after two?
Yeah, Marky Vladdy's going in.
Did you say anything to Markstrom after pulling him? Yeah, Marky Vladdy's going in. What else do I need to tell him?
Well, the Flames got to keep
the Keith Jack Campbell thing is what's
we need to go.
Contrast,
they just need to get a little bit more specific.
We need
these journalists.
We need the Flames to win so we can keep playing these clips,
or the Oilers to win so we can keep talking about Connor McDavid.
Yes.
All right,
shall we?
We flushed that out. We're going to take a quick break. Steve Valiquette, analyst for the New York Rangers on MSG. He's going to join us, tee us up. Rangers, Carolina, Game 4 tonight. Expecting any fireworks?
I am.
We'll ask Steve after the break. You're listening and watching Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet's YouTube channel.
Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
As if we needed to go find another goalie, another great analyst who happens to be a goalie. Yeah. I'm just sick and tired. No left wingers, no fourth line left wingers out there helping me, supporting me. No. The goalies,
they know their stuff.
We have no problem finding them.
But not as good as this. None of them.
Steve Valiquette is another prime example on the Real Kyper and Bourne show. Steve, how are you? And God, I mean, why does this keep happening? You ex-goalies.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kyper. I had 276 games on the bench, so there's a lot of things to think about while I was there. Okay. And you know why I know that, Kyper? Because when I get my pension statement, I got to hide it so my wife doesn't see it.
Awesome point. Well, listen, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Apparently, maybe caught our show on a couple of occasions.
I am, yes, first-time caller, long-time fan and supporter. No, hey, man, I'm telling you, I love listening to you guys. Not only insightful, experienced Kyper with the analysis, use of analytics where it applies, but the comedy. I come for the comedy.
Way to go, Sammy.
Oh, I love Sammy has me dying. Okay, I'm walking and I'm laughing out loud, and my neighbors think I'm an idiot. But I think you guys are hysterical.
And you know, we don't care if people laugh with us or at us. It doesn't matter to us.
Don't lump me in with you.
You guys have had some really good weeks. Probably your best work the last few weeks. I've been dying.
I appreciate it a lot. So tell us how the week's going for the New York Rangers and teeing up Game 4.
You know what it is? It's just 5-on-5. It's been hard to get chances, and it hasn't been physical until the dying moments of the game Sunday. And you've seen the reaction from Gerard Gallant. Like, I think he's going to bring these guys up another notch, and they have to come because, guys, 3 games in the series, the Rangers have only mustered 10 high-danger chances, right? Like 10 really good chances. It has been hard to get inside on Carolina. And then when they've gotten inside, they've deferred out. I was having Peter Pruka flashbacks Sunday afternoon where he'd come inside and just dish outside to Yager. And I know, I'm serious. And I'm sitting with Henrik, and I was like, do you remember when Pruk used to do that? And he's like, yeah, man, like it really hurt him. It took him out of the league. But we had like 6 or 7 guys doing that on Sunday afternoon. Open looks in the middle of the ice, looking for more. Against Carolina, you've got to get it there and pound them. They're not that big. They are fast. They're probably the best conditioned team in the league. But there just hasn't been enough on the offensive side of the puck at 5-on-5. Their power play is still a weapon, but in games 1 and 2, they just couldn't get set up. They got set up Sunday afternoon and got a nice one.
Well, Steve, I'll just join the Mutual Admiration Society and say I'm a big fan of you and all your work. So thanks for joining us today. Wanted to get your thoughts on what you've seen out of Igor Shesterkin so far. Great Game 3, and really the key to the Rangers' ability to have success in this postseason run. They're going to need him. What have you seen from him so far this postseason?
So and Bourne, thank you very much, and appreciate it. I know you're a huge Islander supporter. So for you to say that you're watching the Ranger post game, I'm sure that's a stretch.
I have to for work.
Yeah. So, no, here's the thing with Shesterkin, guys. It starts with consistency, and what that means is you don't let in the low danger goals, right? He gave up the fewest bad goals this year, 8 of them. That's it. So you start there, and then all of a sudden Sunday he gives one up. It was Niederreiter down the wing, if you saw the backhand. So that was his first bad goal of the playoffs. The neat thing was, though, fellas, that he bounced right back. Now, the way that I watched the game, right, and this was kind of neat, too, because Henrik and I were up in the perch. We're sitting where Sam and Joe usually call the game for MSG. And, of course, we've got the national telecast, so the booth is open. We get Henrik through security. It was not easy to get him across the street, but we get upstairs, and we're watching this thing. And it was really neat to see how he plays the game from the bird's eye view. And the key to his game, it's a lot of work before the shot. So the harder a goalie works before the shot, the easier the shot will be. That's a very simple way to start with any young goalie. He beats the pass, comes to a complete stop, beats the next pass through a screen. He battles for the lane, gets across. He has a hard push, but it's always a stop so that when he has to move over for a deflection, if he's moving 2 or 3 feet, it's not an aggressive slide out of position. He plays between his posts. And I thought that he was able to muster the energy to have a 44-shot night look not that dangerous because there wasn't a lot of running around. And Henrik commented, he's like, man, he's very relaxed when he's in his upper stance. He looks over the screen. He's not wasting a lot of energy. You watch some goalies around the league running around out there, and they run out of pace. And the one thing that happened in the last series against Pittsburgh, 76 scoring chances in total in the overtime, 3 overtime against Pittsburgh game 1. And it really ran into games 3 and 4, where he looked like he was late. He's not getting his stops. He's not beating his passes. And since he's running around, and Pittsburgh was throwing it off the back wall against his pad and banking it in. Why? Because he's late and he's not finding pucks quickly. But right now, he's right on top of his game again.
We're joined by Steve Valiquette, who analyzes for the New York Rangers on MSG. Steve, take us back to the end of the game where Gerard Gallant and Tony DeAngelo got into it. And I'm just wondering, is that where really Gerard wants to go in terms of creating that type of energy? I don't know. For me personally, I don't know how far you want to go as a head coach to put that much focus on it in the grand scheme of things.
Gerard coaches with experience. He doesn't coach in X's and O's and telling everybody where to be. He's not in your ear on every shift, fellas. The guys come off the ice. If there's a mistake made, there's very rarely going to be a long reprimand. Use of analytics, no. But the experience is what he has. And if he goes there, Kyper, I have to say, you know what? He knows more than I do about this right now. I think, Kyper, if you were following this series closely, you'd want a little bit more jam on the line.
So
there hasn't been I think he's trying to raise the level.
It's the emotion that he's drawing.
Yeah. He wants to bring Kyper. Like, these guys just aren't there. There's been some periods where I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, I checked in with Andrew Raycroft before the series began just to get a heads up on how it went with Boston. He said the same thing. He's like, Val, most of these games felt like game 58. So Carolina's not really there, and I don't know if they want to go there. So if they don't want to go there, I think the Rangers have to take them there and see if they get uncomfortable a little bit.
So just to steer to not to steer it away on purpose, but I've got a couple of goaltender questions, goalies I want to get to with you. One of the guys that we talked about a little bit earlier on our show today was Andrei Vasilevsky and his ability to excel in deciding games. In game sevens or in elimination games, he's got 6 shutouts and 7 tries, like absolutely bonkers numbers. Like, what gets harder as a goaltender under pressure? Because I can sense it from a player, like you tighten up and you're not as freewheeling. What is it that this guy doesn't seem to have? Or so that fear factor, I guess, that other goalies do, it's foreign to me.
I wish Sammy was on this call because I'd start talking about maybe Cam Atkinson's 2-on-1 goal in the third period of a 0-0 game of game 1 when the Columbus Blue Jackets beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, or I go to a game 5 goal that Liam Foudy had in the third period, or to Boston 2 years. You know, there's so many to count, guys. When you look at, I'm talking about game conditions. Okay, so game conditions for a goalie, it's very specific. How do you react? Excuse me, when the score is tied, when you're up by a goal or down by a goal. How do you play? What's your save percentage? When you face a breakaway at score tied, down by a goal, or up by a goal, what's your save percentage? Why does it differ, and why is it easier for you when you're up by 2 or down by 2 when it doesn't matter? So where does Vasilevsky rank in the league in those important, I call them like money goalie moments? He has a better mental game, and that's what you can't see. You can get a good scope of it when you look at some of the raw stats. But if you watch him night after night in the NHL, and the same for Shesterkin, these guys are the best goalies at score tied, up by a goal, down by a goal. Score tied is the most important because that's the way you start the game. But if you can have a goalie that's going right into that area right there and makes the big saves, grade A saves, whatever you want to call them, high danger chances, those are the guys that you want to run with. Quite frankly, those are the guys that win. Binnington was the same way. Holtby's the same way. Go over the last 6-7 Stanley Cups, and it's all of those guys that are not uncomfortable in uncomfortable moments. They're very confident and sure of themselves. It's a mental state. In fact, if I had a really good goalie technically, but he had a bad save percentage in any of those 3 areas, we're talking about what you're feeling during these game conditions with a sports psychologist and how can I help you.
When we look at Carolina and we see Ranta, pretty remarkable what he's doing because his comfort zone isn't necessarily when the going gets tough. He seems to be one of those 1A, 1B type of goalies, but will this catch up to him? Will it tighten up on him?
Well, here's the thing, right? When Antti Raanta was here, Kyper, I love this goalie, man. Technically, he's got it. He is a very easy guy to use, and I run hockey camps in the summer and such. I could take a Raanta game and cut that film and then use it in the summer. He was that good when he was here. I didn't want to see him go, but at the same time, couldn't wait to see what he was going to do next. And the same for Cam Talbot. And when these guys leave, what happens is now they feel it. There's a different heat there to be number one. Anybody will explain that to you. But when you're number one, if you want to be consistent, can you be available for 60 games? Can you stay healthy? And can you play consistently during those long stretches of sometimes you're going to have to play 7 in a row, 8 in a row? We have never seen Raanta do that. He's never been able to keep the hospital bracelet off. And sometimes the body will resolve what the mind cannot. And sometimes it's okay to have a little tweak here because you're getting a little nervous about playing another tough Western Coast swing, whatever is coming up. And I think that sometimes guys bail on those opportunities. I work with a lot of goalies. I see it all the time at all age levels. There is a stress and a pressure that can attack your body and attack your mind. And sometimes I feel like there's an easy way out. I didn't love the bump that he took in the Bruins series. I didn't think that was that bad. To me, that was a WWE glance. And I love the guy, but I thought he left easy there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I love that. I love that because that is such a truth of playing the position, that it's a tough spot to be in. Guys are in your crease. You know, those guys are players too, and how they handle it is huge in playoffs. I wanted to ask you about how you evaluate goaltending or how it's changed over the years, because I know that you do use more numbers or more tools maybe than than other analysts do. What is it that you pay closest attention to when you're evaluating goaltenders?
Great question. One of the reasons why I started doing this was because, number one, nobody had done it from a goalie's perspective in the NHL as far as categorizing and pulling in all of the characteristics of what I would characterize as a hard shot versus what I would characterize as an easy shot, which is half of a second of clear view on the puck. Those are the ones you want your goalie to save. Now, when I'm coaching, one of the things that bothered me was one day I'm doing a drill with one of my goalies. His name's Strauss Mann. He actually played as the starting goalie for the Olympics this year for USA. Just signed with San Jose. Mm-hmm. You'll hear about this kid. He's a warrior. Great kid. But going back 4 or 5 years, we're doing a run of drills out of the corner, walking the goal line, going to the crease. Strauss says to me, Valiquette, I love this drill and everything, but I just don't feel like this ever happens. And I thought about it. I was like, you know what? This guy's kind of got me on this one. I'm like, yeah, I don't see it happen that much either. Why am I doing this? You know what I mean? So it's really like, what are we doing frequently enough that happens often enough that it matters in a game? And to me, team development is player development. Make your players better, your team gets better. We have to do what we're going to see most frequently in games. So if I'm evaluating a goalie, number one, to answer your question, he better be able to stop the pucks that he can see with half a second, because scoring is fundamentally about giving the goalie less than half of a second. So if we're always trying to make it more difficult on them by screening, by passing across the seam, doing all these things where a goalie can't, as I said with Shesterkin, get set up, get that half of a second. That's why the setup's so important for Shesterkin. He comes to a complete stop. He's gathering time. He's gathering time on the puck. Now he feels good about himself. When he gets fatigued, he feels rushed. He's late. He doesn't get the half second. And now he's scrambling on a rebound, right? Because his momentum's going one way, the save's going the other. If a goalie can stop, a real goalie has to be very consistent at 20, 25 feet, because that's where you have maximum vertical angle. Plus, you want to see a goalie make that save so you can add it to your game plan, like a 2-on-1. I want to give my goalie the shot. I have to trust him. I never trusted Frederik Andersen when he was with the Leafs on a 2-on-1. Never. His numbers backed it up. His numbers made me say, you know what, guys, we got to take away the shot on the 2-on-1. We got to play it different for Freddie. So there are goalies in some cases that you have to really adjust to based on their strengths.
Steve, one more for me, and it's regard to Panarin's comments at the end of the week, where he said that, and I'm paraphrasing, but he can't do what he wants to do on the blue line, and I'm like, is it because it's simpler in the playoffs, or are you sending a message to your head coach that perhaps the system doesn't jive with my creativity?
I know where you're going, Kyper. I want to say it too, but I got in trouble last week for saying it on the Michael K show. So here's the thing. It didn't change him, okay? Sunday afternoon, he was still doing stupid, you know? So, he doesn't care. You can tell this guy anything. He'll be like, yeah, right. He'll laugh it off. He's a very fun, likable guy that has that. I think he's got to bring a little more Kucherov into his game, and I think that, you know, you go through this experience. He's never had the big success in the playoffs yet. He's probably learning a little bit here. But it was interesting. Earlier in the year, the Rangers went into Columbus, and Gerard came down publicly on him to shoot more, be more aggressive on the back check, do these things. Went out and had a hat trick. So it's just like you're waiting for it to click for him, and what matters and what works in playoffs doesn't work in the regular season. And we all know that, and I think it's just about our time. But he didn't change, though. If you watch the game, he was doing all the same stuff. Hank and I are watching it, and we're laughing. Of course, we're calling it out every time he does it. You know what I mean?
Hey, so what's it like working with Henrik Lundqvist? Because I would never do it because he's way too good looking. And I don't want to be.
What does that say that you've agreed to work with me?
I don't want to be beside someone that looks like, you know, Bradley Cooper making a Hollywood movie. I'm sorry, I don't. That's why I work with Justin or Elliot Friedman, for that matter.
Kyper, do you have any idea how expensive this has been for me? Okay,
but you need plastic surgery.
Dude, well, plastic surgery. I'm doing my hair all the time. I got highlights going. I got suits. I got new ties. I even just got my shoes shined because his shoes look better than mine.
It's way too much pressure.
Oh, it's so much pressure. But even preparing for stuff and working out with him, it's been a lot of fun. But now I'll tell you what, it's been expensive, no doubt. Oh wait, I do have a tip though. I got a good tip.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hair dry. You need a blow dryer. We're going back to the 80s. I found out about the hair. It's a blow dryer, and it's just the wax. Okay. And he puts it on the backside of his fingers as he brings it through the hair. So just try that out if you're having any difficulty at home.
This is major inside scoop right here.
Wow, this is.
I'm doing it.
You need that.
You don't look the best, and getting the blow dryer out, it's just not really the most masculine thing to do. But I'm telling you, it works.
Start playing that Carly Simon song, "You're So Vain," when next time he's blow drying. Steve. That was a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, I'm on anytime because I listen every day for free. Love you guys.
Steve Valiquette, analyst for the New York Rangers, does a fantastic job, and so does that other good-looking guy who's beside him. I forget his name.
Yeah, super insightful, though. Like, listening to him, I get a lot out of. He was kind of the first guy to discuss the idea of, for a goaltender, 40 shots aren't 40 shots or 20 shots aren't 20 shots. How many of them are passed across the middle of the ice? He called it the Royal Road, I think. How many he mentioned half a second of clear view. Like, these are different type shots, and it's important to note the difference that goalies face.
You know, he made a comment about money goalies and critical times, right, of the goals.
Yeah.
Same thing with the scores for me.
Yeah.
Is that I'd like analytics.
Oh, did Braden Point get another one?
But I'd like analytics on game tying goals or going up a goal
it's out
in
there.
a game. Yeah, and just break those numbers down for the superstars. But are they out there? We should. I'd like to see the regular season list of that if you can find it for us.
Yeah, specifically like game winners or guys that by goal, up a goal, down a goal,
going up. I'm sure Tampa Bay would probably lead the league in that sort of stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, Tampa's the best team in the league up a goal. I can tell you that. Up a goal in the third period, they give up nothing.
All right, let's bring in somebody that may speak of that a little bit more. Brian Engblom, of course, does the analyst work for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And Brian couldn't finish this show unless we spoke a little bit more of Tampa and how impressive that sweep was. Give us your view from 30,000 feet above.
Well, guys, going into that series, I thought anything could happen. It could go 7 games and be overtime in Game 7, or you could have it by a hair's breadth and one team win 4 straight, and either team in that fact. So am I surprised that the Lightning won 4 straight? Yes. I didn't think it was going to be like that for sure. Florida's track record during the season and what they were able to do scoring goals. and also certainly based on the games that the two teams have played against each other. I think they played 18 times over the last couple of years before the series started. And a lot of times it would get back and forth like river hockey, and Florida likes to play that way. And sometimes the Lightning like to play that way too. But I think they came out on the short end of that more often than winning. So they went into this series with a definite plan. And you heard Coop talk about that on many occasions. And that plan was to play way more conservatively and keep their big guys out of the middle of the ice and trust number 88 in net. And that's ultimately what they did. So it took away from some of their offense. There's no doubt about that. And I know some people looked at them and said, geez, they look slower. And they said the same thing against Toronto. And they were doing a similar thing against the Leafs. So keep them out of the middle of the ice and try to limit the shots and the big opportunities from the big players. So it did take away some of their speed and some of their focus, but they're through 2 rounds and they've knocked them both off. So you certainly can't argue with it.
Brian, it's one thing to have a game plan and another team to let the other team execute their game plan. So like Calgary has the game plan to shut down Connor McDavid, but Connor McDavid's like, no, we're not doing that. What did you see from Florida that, allowed them to let Tampa do what they wanted, that failed to dictate any of the series? I guess it feels like a lot of that was on their stars.
They lost their patience.
Yeah.
It started in the Washington series by Washington killing all the penalties in that series. So their power play, which was one of the best in the league in the regular season, came in limping, and the Lightning continued it. So they went to a max at 0 for 25 before they finally scored one, and it really affected guys like Jonathan Huberdeau. Like I looked at him compared to what I'd seen during the season, watching on TV, and certainly the Lightning games against them, and he just looked like a different guy. I mean, that confidence level that players talk about, when you lose it, boy, it's pretty scary. And I hate to say it, but the P word, pressure. When you're a favored team, and things are going sideways, that's when you really find out about your guys. And look, the Lightning went through it a couple of years ago, well documented. They lose 4 straight to Columbus. Very, very similar situation. Kept banging on the door the same way and having no answer. And they got shut off in the middle of in the neutral zone and in the middle of the ice, lost their confidence, and very similar to what Florida just went through. Look, we all talk about this a lot, that it doesn't matter what team you are and, how you're made up. You still have to be able to play more than one way in order to win the Stanley Cup. That is absolutely true. You cannot just be a high-powered team. You can go back to Gretz and the boys in Edmonton back in the 80s. They learned lessons from the Islanders, right? And Gretz has talked about it a lot. So have the rest of them. You have to be able to play more than one way. And that was a fact, again, that Florida learned a really hard lesson on about what to focus on when in the game and in the series.
We're talking to Brian Engblom, analyst for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So Brian, earlier on in the show, we kind of put the question out there. If Tampa played against Toronto like they did against Florida, would they have beaten the Leafs earlier in the series?
If Tampa had played the same way against Leafs, I think they tried, Nick. But in many ways, Toronto was better than Florida, so they were harder to handle. And I think the Lightning were still going through this process. I think they're better at it now than they were against Toronto. When the playoffs start, you come in with that plan, and you get better, hopefully, as you go along without losing 4 games. So maybe that's the best way to explain it. When the chips were down, they found a way to limit Toronto as best they could. And when they didn't, like, it always go back to your goaltender, right? I mean, look at Vasilevsky. I mean, he got shelled last night by Florida. And for goodness sakes, you knew that Florida had to come out and empty the tank and had to come with a big push. They had nothing to lose. I mean, if they sat back, it would be idiotic. And it's not like they didn't come with a lot of firepower. And Vasilevsky was a freaking octopus in net, which he always does. He's actually had shutouts now in 6 of the last 7 series-ending games. 6 of the last 7.
Scary.
Toronto was the only game he allowed a goal, for God's sake. Shutouts, not just wins. Shutouts. The guy was an octopus.
Well, our producer, Sammy, feels so much better with your answer.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Glad I could help.
You know, the Bolts have won the Stanley Cup partially off the backs of really successful third lines in the playoffs, and those guys have gone on to get paid and feature in prominent roles on other teams. How have Nick Paul and Brandon Hagel been since their additions?
Nick Paul has been a revelation to me. I can tell you that. I mean, it's been jaw-dropping, to be quite honest with you. I didn't feel like I knew him very well at all when they acquired him, and I went, okay, I kind of remember him. And almost right from day one, first practice, first day, he just did things. I mean, he just fit right in, and nothing seemed to bother him. He seemed to fit in with the system. Didn't seem to take him long. He started handling the puck and just doing his thing. And it was almost like, okay, is this okay? Am I doing all right? Yeah, kid, you're doing just fine. Keep going. And he got better and better and better. And I'm telling you, so many times I've said in post-game radio shows and stuff, and that Nick Paul, I keep repeating, it's a broken record. The kid has played some terrific hockey. He's big. He's faster than you think. He's smarter than you think. He handles the puck and makes plays better than you think. And you just keep going, wow. And situationally, he doesn't get things wrong. And he works his ass off coming back into the defensive zone. I got not one bad thing to say about Nick Paul. All good, outstanding. Hagel, I think it was a slower process. And he came here with 21 goals after a really good year with Chicago. And I think he wanted to make an impression scoring goals. And you know that sometimes it happens and you get a couple early. Well, it didn't happen for him. And so I think he was pressing and pressing. And so then I think they finally said to him, look, just settle down. We know why we brought you here. That speed, that forecheck, you'll make some plays. You know, I think just relax a little bit. So he's gotten better and better as it's come along. And I've seen more impact shifts and more impact games in the playoffs than maybe it started at the very end of the regular season. It's been a bit more of a process for him, but it's still really like the process that he's been through. And they get more ice time now too, because the 11-7 with, you know, Braden Point out of the lineup, guys get a little bit more ice time. And who doesn't like that, right, guys?
Plenty of time now between rounds. Keep them off the jet skis, would you?
Hey, that's part of the process. It's part of the fun, and it's part of their ability to relax. I mean, you guys probably saw that stuff on Twitter where they didn't have the morning skate when they were in Florida, and they go out and throw the football around on the beach. Coop isn't afraid to give the guys time off. He isn't afraid to give them some liberty as long as when you show up. And it works for this team. These guys get their heads together. They don't go wild. He gives them days off. They're in 2 days off right now. He's giving them 2 days off the ice right now. Well-deserved, and they'll need it. But if they want to get on the jet skis, I have no problem with that at all, guys. And I'll tell you what, there are a lot of guys around the NHL that are jealous.
We are. We know that.
Yeah.
Sam is.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Hey, Brian, really appreciate your time. Thanks for this, and enjoy your time off until the third round.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Be well.
Thank you.
They just got the ultimate program right now.
I kind of want Brian's program. Is he living down there without the pressure of being physically active every day? It sounds great.
Like, we are talking Nick Paul.
Again.
Now.
Hey, this guy's up.
20 plus minutes slotted in points position. Like,
I know.
Okay, this guy turned down.
Talk about the Patriots just plugging guys in.
This guy turned down $2.3 million, I think.
I was thinking about that while he was talking.
Turned down 2.3 to bet on himself.
Would there have been a number he played for, or did he just want out of Ottawa?
Maybe maybe 2.5.
Oh my
maybe,
God!
Maybe
Ottawa,
3
what
million. Maybe 3. Maybe 3.
Fine.
Sign.
Fine. Think about Alex Kerfoot making 3.5, and we're all like, he's great.
Like,
Nick Paul's a more effective postseason player.
Like, I don't know where he's gone now. Is he Philip Deneau?
Oh wow.
I don't know. Would you not slot him now as a second line centerman potentially? I don't know.
Yeah, it depends what your team looks like.
Philip Deneau did not have the reputation for being a 20-goal scorer.
No, until he did. But you're right, he didn't have that rep when he got 5 times 5.5.
Are you paying a
5 times
shutdown guy $5 million plus? No, yeah, I guess you are.
Guess he was a UFA and Paul's still an RFA, I imagine. I think he's still an RFA.
No, I don't.
If he's just a UFA, he's going to pay it all like this.
I think he's UFA. I could be wrong though.
Nick Paul, where are we at here?
I don't think they would have traded him.
UFA.
I don't think Ottawa would have traded him.
Nick Paul's going to get 5 times 5. He's so
Thank
good.
you.
5 times 4.
Thanks.
5 times 4. How about
Thanks.
that?
With a cup, maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If he's a contributor all along the way, there's a lot of teams say, "I'll pay that guy." What is Ottawa doing?
Man,
that's just a bad move.
What are you doing? Do you watch hockey?
Go find another 6'4", 230,
25-year-old
who can get up and down the ice like that.
Who wants $3 million? You out of your mind?
I'm sure 3 times 3 or 3 times 4 would have done it for him.
This is mental that we're having this conversation.
Right?
Yeah, so if you want to get rich, just go play on the third line in Tampa in the playoffs, and you just become rich. You think?
I mean, it doesn't hurt.
Barclay Goodrow.
It's a good spot.
Yeah.
Tampa, Florida last night needed 9 minutes for a puck grazing the net to disallow a goal eventually, but 9 minutes.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is you can never allow a stoppage of 9 minutes. I think Anthony Stewart talked about this on the panel last night.
Would you rather them get it wrong?
No. I'd rather them get it right in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Just not 9.
I'll take, yes,
That's
I'm not
way
arguing.
too long.
It is way too long, but in these moments, right and long have to be better than wrong and short.
Do you know why? Do you know they were going to call it a goal? Do you know why they didn't? Because Sportsnet enhanced the camera. And then they concluded off of Sportsnet's feed that the puck changed directions dramatically.
They used the tools at their disposal to get it right.
Hey, how about this?
Have your own tools?
Get your own toolbox. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't wait 9 minutes for Sportsnet.
Yeah.
Go get more cameras and have cameras that cover the mesh if you want to keep this rule.
Mm-hmm.
Just have better cameras, high definition cameras on the mesh all the time.
Kipper, I got a lamp that when I touch it with a finger, it lights up. Can we get the mesh, a little sensor? It's been hit.
Well, and they have.
Can it blow an auto whistle or something?
They have. The NHL does have the ability to blow up their own cameras, but I think sometimes the quality gets a little grainier and.
Yeah.
But go get good cameras. Hey, yeah, you got to spend your own money.
Yeah.
Maybe some of that $650 that Seattle gave you, $650 million. Just use a couple of more cameras. That's all you need is more cameras, and your problem is solved.
Yeah. No, you're right. That needs to be. That's the next place to iron out because it is absurd to wait that long for.
What about? This is just me off the top of my head, but what about if, like off the mesh? So what? Play on.
Can you imagine if that was allowed and you could?
I don't know.
The mesh is angled down from a distance from center. Just shoot it off the mesh and have it kick out in front of the net. I'm in.
Crazy bounces off the glass all over the place. It's
what about
play
a
on.
hill at center ice?
Why not? If it's off the mesh, play on.
We've got a couple spike strips.
No, I just.
It's out of play.
What do you think?
No, sorry, Kipper. I love you, buddy,
but
I
it
hate
is
that.
in play.
No,
it's no different than the puck going high off the glass and then back in play. It's in play.
I guess it's the inconsistencies in the angling of the net and the. Listen, I like the idea. Let's keep it pushing here, but I think the randomness.
I haven't thought about it.
Remember,
I may hate it.
If I suggested this, Kip would be burying me
30
right now.
seconds after I'm off air, I'm going to go, that was the stupidest idea ever.
Remember when we came up with ideas for what the Olympic hockey should look like? And it was like no rules. It was like,
just pure
no
mayhem.
lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was too long. That was way too long.
Yeah. Question is, do you want 10 guys looking up in the sky like they're watching someone fly a kite till the puck comes down?
Looking for balance, trying to catch a fly ball.
You know what was really funny last night, too, is watching Tampa after I think Maroon scored his goal, and everybody goes to the Jumbotron.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like,
in fairness,
10
it was
guys,
like, was that
coaches. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now we got to we're at the complete mercy of video.
But, you got to give Tampa credit. They score and it gets taken away. And they keep coming. And they score and it gets taken away. And they keep coming. A lot of teams would use that as an excuse to fold. We got bad breaks, bad call, bad delay. Tampa kept pushing.
wasn't great.
No, they
to
got
start
outplayed.
the game.
They didn't deserve to win that game. But this is what they were doing. Like, they have a great goaltender who, by the way, is on the hockey team and allowed to be an asset. People act like as one team controlled the run of play, they should win every game. Sorry, goaltending is a position. And, they hung in there and they're patient until they get their chances. Patience. They are confident the chances will come and they don't force it. Tonight.
Battle of Alberta tonight. Talk about the bet that you could make.
Yes. So right now, there's a bet you can make, which is Connor McDavid to get no points tonight. And it pays massively. Plus 430 is what I saw it at. So a $20 bet would pay you $106 for McDavid to get no points. Do you want it? Would you place $20 on McDavid to get 0 points to get paid out 106? I'm not touching it.
You'd have to be the worst sports fan of all time to make that bet.
Wow.
Like, that's how good this guy is.
If you're Connor McDavid's buddy, could you get him to take a shift and then pull his groin?
You'd be better to say, Connor, can I have $106?
And he'd be like, yeah, sure.
I make $12 million a year.
Now, if he does pull his groin after the first shift,
you're paid, bud.
You're paid?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
For
what's that grand?
How about this, though? Markstrom led the NHL in shutouts this year with, guess how many?
8.
9.
Yeah.
9 shutouts.
Yeah, I think they were in the first 10 games.
They
weren't
were.
they?
He had you're right. He had 4 of the first 6 starts or something.
Oh, my gosh. Leafs are out of the playoffs, and we still can't find enough time to get everything into the show.
I know.
Oil
I'm
win
curious to see
tonight.
how long this can go on for. But.
Oil
Calgary.
Calgary tonight?
No, let's make it a 7-game series. It's too much fun, and we need Calgary to win.
I'm on Calgary, yeah.
All right, our thanks to Kevin Lowe, Steve Valiquette, and Brian Engblom. We're back tomorrow. Stay safe, everybody. Enjoy the hockey.